What time is it? Well, welcome everyone. Thank you. We'll be starting right at 6 o'clock. Thank you so much for your time. And again, tonight we'll be having our Lcap Local Control and Accountability Plan Engagement Forum. And thank you so much for attending, and we'll start right at 6 o'clock. Again, thank you everyone for attending. Thank you for being here at the Local Control and Accountability Plan Engagement Forum. We'll be starting right at 6 o'clock. Thank you again for your time and your participation.
Do you want me to say in Spanish?
That'd be great. Yeah, thank you.
Buenas noches a todos y bienvenidos a este programa. Ahora se les va a presentar lo que es el Plan de Control y Responsabilidad Local de Cuentas, que se llama en inglés Lcap. Estas son por sus siglas en inglés. Vamos a comenzar exactamente a las 6 de la tarde. Gracias.
That is exactly right. Freight Trade, one of my favorite songs. Thank you again, everyone, for being here tonight for the Local Control and Accountability Plan Engagement Forum. I will be starting right at 6 o'clock, and thank you again for your time and for your participation.
Otra vez, bienvenidos a todos a este foro que vamos a presentar. Se les va a presentar lo que es el tema del Plan de Control y Responsabilidad Local de Cuentas de acá del distrito. Gracias.
Right. It is 6 o'clock. Welcome everyone to the Local Control and Accountability Plan Engagement Forum. Before we begin, I would like to announce our Zoom audience that live Spanish interpretation for this event is available. To listen to this presentation in Spanish, please click the interpretation button at the bottom of your screen and select your language of choice.
Bienvenidos otra vez aquí a lo que es este tema que se les va a presentar, es el plan de control y responsabilidad local de cuentas. También tenemos interpretación en español por si usted está interesado. Aquí abajo donde usted mira, puede usted presionar, hacerle clic allí al enlace para que pueda usted conectarse directamente, para que pueda escuchar aquí esta presentación en español.
Again, this is the Local Control and Accountability Plan Engagement Forum. So please take advantage of the chat feature and the question and answer feature. And please put your thoughts, your feedback, your questions inside of the chat and the question and answer feature. And we will answer your questions and listen to your input and make sure it is all collected from this process of engagement and used in the process of developing the local control and accountability plan. I do see that there is a hand raised, and it appears that Angelina has a question.
If she wants to ask her question now, we just unmuted her.
Okay, great. Angelina, do you have a question? Welcome.
I was trying to log in and I accidentally pressed the wrong button. Sorry.
Oh, no problem at all. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right. So again, thank you again, everyone, for being here. We just want to announce again that our Zoom audience, that there is a live Spanish interpretation for this event that is available. To listen to this presentation in Spanish, please click the interpretation button at the bottom of your screen and select your language of choice. All right, so we're going to get started. And again, throughout this presentation and process, please go ahead and put your questions in the question and answer box. Please make sure to put your thoughts and feedback in the chat. And we welcome all of your feedback and input in the process of ensuring that as a district, we're developing our local control and accountability plan together in partnership with all stakeholders. We would like to start off with first just going over the objectives. So tonight with the Local Control and Accountability Plan, the Lcap Engagement Forum, we'll be giving an overview of the local control funding formula, what the LCFF is. We'll be doing an overview of the 2020-21 Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan. And then we'll have collaborative conversations for feedback, input, and questions and suggestions around what are the ways as a district we can increase academic achievement for our students, increase student attendance, and really make sure we're preparing students for college, career, and community readiness. And then at the end of the engagement forum, we'll open up to any questions that haven't been answered or any questions that anybody would like to share or feedback prior to ending the engagement forum. We would like to start off with doing a poll just to get an idea of the stakeholders that we do have present tonight. So if you could just take a moment and go ahead and just choose the option that best represents you as a stakeholder. I really appreciate, again, your time and your participation and being here tonight. So thank you so much, parents and guardians and family members. Thank you, SUSD, Stockton Unified School District staff. Thank you, community partners. We really appreciate all of the partnership and hard work and dedication that we all have in ensuring student success. And we are grateful for all certificated and classified staff, everything you're doing to support students every day. Thank you, parents, guardians, and family members for everything that you do every day. Thank you, students, for working hard and staying focused and putting forth your best efforts. And thank you, community partners, for supporting Stockton Unified School District and supporting the students on their path and journey to become college, career, and community ready. All right. So we're going to move forward. And again, please at any time, put thoughts and comments in the chat. and put any questions or answers you have as well in the Q&A. So as a district, our mission for Stockton Unified School District is to graduate every student, college, career, and community ready. And in doing so, we will lift all youth out of circumstances of poverty and scarcity. And we're really focusing on what we can do to implement and provide supports to address the well-being of all students, to provide the professional learning development and learning opportunities for all staff members, to provide workshops, partnership opportunities, and collaboration for parents and families, and really ensure that students have what they need for their academic achievement and development of social emotional well-being. So the main components of the local control funding formula, LCFF, is the local control funding formula. Those are the funds provided to school districts by the state that are unrestricted funds to address the priorities that are set up by the state and to really ensure that all students have what they need to be academically successful, to develop a positive and healthy social emotional well-being, and be ready for a path to college, a path to a career, and a path to be an active community member once they've graduated from high school. The plan itself connected to the LCFF, the local control funding formula, is the local control and accountability plan. That is a plan that districts put together that really focus on the goals and the actions and services to address the needs of students, to support staff in providing services to students and family, and to ensure that there's engagement and participation and partnership building opportunities for families, parents, and guardians. And then the next component or part of the local control funding formula is the accountability part. And that is the California School Dashboard. That is the form at which the state provides data that represents the school district in the areas of chronic absenteeism, academic achievement, English learner reclassification rates, and English language development, college and career readiness, high school graduation, and really the process of making sure that the data is being shared of how, as a district, we are continuing to grow and support the needs of all students. So the local control accountability plan, the LCAP, is provided where the state provides funds, the local control funding formula funds, and it's really to meet the student needs. And there's 3 different levels of funding. One is the base grant fund of the local control funding formula funds. That's for every student that attends the district. The district has provided funds to represent and support those students. Then you have the supplemental grant, which is for every district gets additional or supplemental funds for every student who's enrolled, who's identified as an English learner, a low-income student, or a student who is in foster care, to really make sure as a district we're helping to increase and improve the services to support the students' needs. And then concentration funds are when within a district, as a district, our student population is over 55% of English learners, low-income students, foster youth students. We receive additional funds. Stockton Unified School District receives all 3 forms of the LCFF funds: the base grant funds, supplemental grant funds, and concentration grant funds. So there are 8 state priorities. The ones that really focus on are the idea of basic services. So making sure as a district, we have the teachers with the appropriate and needed credentials to teach the courses that they have and the students that are in their class, to make sure we're upkeeping the schools and the facilities, academic standards, making sure that all students have access to standards-based curriculum, and that English learners have access to both standard-based curriculum and designated and integrated English language development supports and resources, that there's parental, guardian, and family involvement. That as a district, we continue to increase and improve the ways that we as a district support parents, guardians, and family members' ability to support their children in being successful in school and in their academic journey to graduate from high school, college, career, and community ready. Student achievement, really focusing that all students are mastering what they need in the grades that they're in, their core content areas, making sure that they have the standards-based knowledge and skills needed to be successful in the grade that they're in and the future grades that they will be attending. Student engagement, making sure that students are excited and happy and included in their school communities and that they're coming to school every day. School climate, really making sure that as a district, we're having a positive school climate with behavioral supports for students and the ability to make sure that when students do make a mistake, that they have an opportunity to learn from that mistake. And so really looking at reducing suspension rates and reducing expulsion rates and creating restorative practices and trauma-informed care responses. That's all students have access to courses and really make sure that other student outcomes as well, that students are going through high school, having access to dual enrollment opportunities, advanced placement opportunities, elective opportunities for a well-rounded education. Let's see, there we go. So I will quickly stop here to see if there's any questions I can answer about the learning continuity, the local control funding formula funds or the local control and accountability plan so far. Let's see, I'll check the chat quickly. Appreciate that. And so question and answer. And so I will continue through the presentation. Please continue to ask any questions in the Q&A box or in the chat. And again, we appreciate everyone's participation being here tonight. So for the 2020-2021, the current school year, Governor Newsom and the California Department of Education decided with the COVID-19 pandemic and everything that is occurring with distance learning to not have a local control and accountability plan for this school year. So instead, school districts were asked and mandated to create what was called a learning continuity and attendance plan. So this plan, really what it covers is how as a district, or what we as well are planning on for in-person learning, distance learning, how we're addressing social emotional well-being needs of students, how we're addressing the learning opportunities that students need and interventions needed, as well as making sure the ways that we're addressing high need student groups and making sure principally we are providing increased and improved services to support them to have academic connections, social emotional well-being support, as well as family, parent, and guardian support as well. So really what we are having right now in the 2020-21 school year is sort of a various stage approach to how we can provide different forms of academic experiences for students. Currently, we continue to be, as a district, in stage 1, which means we are 100% distance learning. We continue to be in the tier, what's considered the purple tier, which means widespread COVID-19 positive case rates within our county. And so as a district, we continue to provide distance learning, while both planning on hopefully soon in the near future providing a hybrid model with social distancing for students to be able to return to in-person learning within their schools, and then continuing with direction from the public health departments and the ability for the county, when the positive rates are low enough, to have full return with distance learning option. And then hopefully soon, by this end of this year, or definitely by the beginning of next year, resume normal instruction, meaning all students come to school 5 days a week and have full access and opportunity for in-person learning. Throughout the rest of the 2020-21 school year, distance learning will be an option for all students who wish to continue to have access to distance learning. So right now, in-person learning that we're providing as a district is we continue to have special education one-on-one support, really making sure to have our IEP meetings ongoing to address the individualized needs and educational programs of students, at 504 meetings, again, to address the individualized needs of students with different levels of support that are present for those students, to make sure as an educational system, we're providing those in-person instructional offerings that they need and we can within the guidelines that we're permitted to. Student support team meetings. So SST meetings, strategic meetings between school staff, families, and other service providers to really make sure that we are providing a multi-tiered system of supports approach to meeting the needs of students. For the assessment process for English learners, make sure we're providing that in person for students. And then we are planning and continue and working in collaboration with both our bargaining units and union leaders, focusing on providing in-person student cohorts, which will be offered after school. Teachers will, on a voluntary basis, be providing after school, in-person instruction and academic support focused on credit recovery, and that's for high school students. Student growth, so providing academic opportunities to increase students' growth in their academic areas and content knowledge. And then differentiation, so providing in-person instruction to students after school hours to really meet the individual learning needs of those students. So to provide review opportunities, to provide opportunities to practice what they've learned, and to really answer questions and work directly with students in person. The hybrid model with a staggered schedule and distance learning is something that we will do as a district when we are able to do with the public county health guidance and with low enough COVID positive rates that allow us to provide in-person instruction. So I will stop right here and just see if there's any questions. How is parent involvement being assessed and reported for the Lcap? And does it include community stakeholders or just parents and guardians? So parent involvement being assessed and reported for the Lcap. Currently, this process is reported through all the different offerings as far as workshops, trainings, school and district-wide events, the different outreach through the Family Engagement and Education Office, the contacts that are made by our parent liaisons, our community assists, our counselors, as well as our mental health clinicians. And then also making sure that we have various forms of parent, guardian, and family teacher conferences happening with their students or children's teachers. Does it include community stakeholders or just parents and guardians? The parent involvement varies. It does involve community stakeholders. There's different forms of community involvement as far as we have parent advisory committees that are open to parents and guardians, as well as community members. And then we also have a local control and accountability plan engagement forum that is every month, that is open to everyone as well. And then we also have a local control and accountability plan survey that's been open from October 26th and closes February 5th. And that survey is open to all students 3rd through 12th grade, all parents, guardians, and family members, all classified and certificated staff members, as well as all community members as well. Thank you for your question. And so some of the actions related to in-person instruction is we have increased cleaning protocols with transportation so that once we're able to provide transportation and transport students to and from their place of residence where they pick up the school transportation and to the school and then back to their place of residence where they would be dropped off by the educational transportation services, making sure we have cleaning protocols that are in place to have healthy and safe transportation for all students and staff that are involved. We have signage, posters, and floor decals for safety protocols at all school sites so that students and staff are very aware of where you enter and where you exit. Also the protocols for social distancing, protocols for hand washing and hand sanitizing, and the process of walking down a hallway and which way you walk to make sure to support social distancing on all of our school campuses. As well as making sure that we sustain our custodial and maintenance staffing in all school sites to really support cleaning, having plexiglass barriers for safety protocols. So on all students' desks, we have plexiglass barriers, as well as all teachers' desks as well, and front office. Individual instructional supplies, so when students do return to in-person learning, all students will be provided with their own instructional supplies, so they will not need to feel the need to share with anything. They'll have all the instructional supplies that they need provided to them. Making sure we have ongoing new teacher mentoring to support new teachers to the profession. Making sure we have our HVAC or air systems, that we have increased filtration for clean airs, and a process to make sure that all buildings and all classrooms have a constant flow of clean air. And then personal protective equipment, PPE, for all students and all staff will be provided as well as cleaning supplies to make sure that surfaces and areas are constantly sanitized and cleaned. Of course, during this process of distance learning, technology is so important. So as a district, we've made sure to provide every student with a computer, a laptop, and a power cord. To provide every student with Wi-Fi hotspots so that no matter where they are with their computer, they're able to connect to the internet. To make sure that we're providing instructional staff with the computers or laptops to access the technology that they need. Making sure that all students in that family have access to the board adopted curriculum. So we have online access to all the curriculum and the assessment tools and resources. We have classrooms using Google Classroom, Zoom, all these different forms of learning access so that students can both complete their academic assignments and continue to connect to in-person live instruction from distance learning through the process of computers. And really making sure that this ongoing process of access is for all students. When we're talking about distance learning, we're really focusing on all year, no matter whether we're in distance learning where we're learning in front of a computer at our place of residence or wherever we are to engage with learning, or if we're in the classroom in the school building, the minimum daily instructional minutes will continue for the rest of this year. So for kindergarten, students will have 180 minutes of live instruction or instruction provided to them. Students in grades 1st through 3rd grade will have 230 minutes provided to them. And students in grades 4th through 12th will have 240 minutes provided to them. So right now, within distance learning, Students have online daily instruction provided. Learning is happening through the computer, and there's still required attendance so that students are attending every day. We have the teachers, the school sites, child welfare and attendance, counselors. We have lots of different staff members that follow up and connect with families and students if they're not attending, to see how we can support to make sure that students are attending daily instruction. All students are definitely expected to participate in online instruction every day, and grading, which will remain the same throughout all of the 2020-2021 school year, is TK through 6th grade. The rubric continues to be a 1, 2, 3, 4 scale. 4 being you're doing exemplary, you're meeting all of the needs, to all the way to 1 where there's some interventions and different academic supports that are needed, and that as adults and as educational service providers, we need to continue to provide those students with some extra supports. 7th through 12th grade continue to get letter grades, A, B, C, D, or no mark. For the 2020-2021 school year, there is no grade of F that is provided. And if a student does get a no mark, it does not impact their grade percentage, their GPA, but it does mean that that student would have to retake that course. So I'm going to pause here for a moment and see if there's any questions. The question is, for HVAC, just to confirm, air circulation is constant throughout the school day within the building room, or have the filters just been upgraded to MERV 13 filters, or both? So the idea of air circulation throughout the school day, the air filtration system pulls air from the outside of the building and then circulates it within the classroom, bringing the air through different filters. And yes, the filters have been upgraded to MERV 13 filters. So there's both areas of trying to increase the airflow, to clean the airflow with increased quality of filters as well. And will reporting or collecting of absentee data be different? The reporting of data is continue to be the same, in the sense that if a student participates in synchronous learning, in-person learning, and or asynchronous learning, they turn in their assignments and are doing the work connected to the learning management system, if it's Google Classroom, whatever it may be, they are marked as present for that day. Absentee data, if the student is not present on either one, they are marked as absent for that day. So when we're talking about distance learning, as a district, we have purchased laptops for all students and continue to make sure that those laptops are being refreshed, that are either broken or for one reason or another are not working. Wi-Fi hotspots for all students. Programs to make sure that as adults responsible for students, we're able to monitor the internet usage and programs to make sure that it's a healthy and safe environment that students are learning in within the remote and distance learning. Providing substitute teachers for school sites to use as either push-in support into classrooms or support increased academic areas of interventions for students in collaboration with the classroom teacher. Making sure that we have school site budgets that are provided to the school sites so they can address the needs that they're hearing, both from the staff, from the students, and from their families, parents, and guardians that they serve as a school site. Laptops for staff to make sure that staff has access to technology. Assistive technology for students that need extra support due to disabilities or special ed needs aligned with their individualized educational needs. And then making sure that we're maintaining as well central district library staff support and just library support and access to online books as well, so that students have access to the ability to read books through their computers, and they can check out books at any time. We also want to make sure that we are ongoing teacher collaboration time, so teachers have time that's paid so that they can work together, plan together, talk about data, and really focus on supporting students. Family conferences with teachers, professional development days, so we continue as a system to learn together and to improve the services we provide students. To make sure that we have centralized enrollment center to really support families in finding the school sites that are closest to their residents that fits best their student needs. School site extended office hours so that families or students can call up to the school for help or support or ask questions later in the day, past when the normal school day would be closed, to provide opportunities for increased access to school staff. Summer professional development, so for providing distance learning and really developing an ongoing process of what distance learning will look like and continue to support students who choose distance learning. A parent guardian distance learning guidebook, and then Zoom licenses so that teachers can have access and district staff to engaging with students, staff, families, and community on an online platform. So we have many different online learning supports. We have daily live instruction and teacher office hours. We provide advancement via individual determination, avid tutors to really help support students, to give them extra intervention opportunities. We have reading intervention support for 9th through 12th grade students who are special education students that have IEPs to really help them support their literacy and reading skills. We have credit and dropout recovery programs, both Apex and Cyber High, to support high school students that need extra opportunities to make up credits for classes. We have after-school program tutoring, academic support. Soon we'll have in-person cohorts provided. We have really teachers the opportunity that they review the progress of online learning and provide individualized pathways of learning through iReady for both English language arts and math. We have student engagement in small groups and one-on-one instructional support for those students that need that extra support. And then just constant student participation incentives and different ways of supporting student needs. So again, this is a breakdown of what's being offered. And again, after school opportunities for academic interventions, reading interventions during the day, high school credit recovery dropouts, virtual learning programs, instructional coaches to help support both the implementation of curriculum and help support collaborative teaching and learning to improve and grow the ways that we're addressing the needs of students, and advancement via individual determination, the AVID program, to really have college readiness skills being provided to students focused on writing, inquiry, organization, collaboration, and learning to read and reading to learn. I'll pause here for a moment and see if there's any other questions. Is there a plan to provide parents with Chromebooks in order to participate in workshops? Some workshops are held while their child is in class. That is a great question. Currently, I am not aware of any plan to provide parents with Chromebooks in order to participate in workshops. I know that in lots of the workshops, if a parent, guardian, family member does have access to a cell phone or a smartphone, you would be able to access those workshops as well. But this is something that I will definitely take down as feedback and input, and bring that up as an area that is an ask and a possible need in support of parents, guardians, and family members. Another one, for the Safe Student Internet Monitoring Program, what exactly is being monitored? Great question. So what is being monitored is, I'm not exactly sure what the pool of the words are, but there is a list of words that would be considered sort of red flag words. So words that would be anything considered to be something that would upset someone else in a way of a bullying. So any type of online threats, racially insensitive, derogatory, or racist terms, anything that was be considered a message of self-harm or harm to others So it's a process by which language is shared, or images as well are picked up by a program and sent to the individuals and staff members who are observing that area, to make sure that all students have access to a safe, healthy environment within learning online. So those are some of the things it picks up. And will it be in Spanish? I believe, if I'm understanding this question, all workshops and training that are provided in the district should have some form of translation or interpretation services being provided when provided to families, guardians, family members, and community members. Thank you very much for those questions. I appreciate the feedback, and I appreciate your participation. So when we're focused on health and social emotional needs, we're really making sure that academic, college and career, social emotional, video lessons, in-person lessons are being provided. Counselors are collaborating with teachers and going to classrooms and providing social emotional learning lessons. There are supports from the mental health clinicians of ongoing videos and small group workshops that are being provided to students, to teachers, staff, and to families. And then we also already, in collaboration with our student support services department and our counselors, have created a 2-week social emotional learning lessons to be provided to all students when they return to in-person learning, to really support that social emotional learning and trauma-informed care that will be needed upon returning to school and transitioning from distance learning back into in-person in the classroom learning. We have board certified behavioral analysts. They provide lots of strategies to really support at-home support, ensure that we're providing both at school and the support at home for student well-being. We have mindfulness moments and mindfulness Mondays and self-care virtual series. We're also working right now on creating mental health and trauma-informed care kits to provide families, to help support them and their students have conversations and resources and tools to continue to be healthy, both in school and at home, in a social emotional approach to learning. School counselors continue to provide academic and social emotional conferences, both by phone and virtual, as well as academic guidance as well, and career guidance. And we have mental health clinicians that provide therapy sessions, coffee talks, trainings, workshops, as well as connecting families with outside resources if they need things further than what we're able to provide within the district. And we have many levels of social emotional learning that are being provided and focused on really presenting the mental health and well-being resources needed to support students and families and staff during these COVID-19 pandemic times, and just to address and make sure that everybody has outlets, skills, and resources needed to stay mentally healthy, physically healthy, and continue to develop their well-being as they both balance the work life of being a student and focusing on work, the family life of addressing all those needs, and working together to support students. So student engagement and participation is so important. We really need and expect that students are attending every day to access learning. So we have constant daily context between teachers and students and our parents and guardians and family members, making sure that outreach is ongoing, that their school site and child welfare and attendance, the CWA department, continues to outreach to students and families when we're seeing, for one reason or another, they have multiple days in which students are not showing up to learning, to see what we can do as a system to support the students and the families to ensure students are attending school every day. Really making sure to provide daily live instruction, where teachers provide live instruction every day, and working so hard with both classified and certificated staff to support the academic and social emotional well-being of students. We have licensed vocational nurses, LVNs, and health assists, communicating with families whose students are not showing up to school for multiple days to assist to see what can we do to address any barriers or obstacles that are present for why the student is not attending school. We have automated, meaning we have a system that goes out and calls for absences twice a day when a student does not show up and is marked as absent. We have family workshops on supporting students during distance learning, and we have a family engagement and education office that provides extra support as well to families. We have staff training on trauma-informed care, restorative practices, and really addressing learning environments that are equitable and addressing implicit bias as well, so that we can provide the most beneficial learning environment for all students and continue to grow as educational service providers to make sure that we are providing culturally relevant and linguistically relevant learning and teaching. I'll pause here for a moment and see if there's any questions. It says, some workshops are in the morning. For those who work, can you offer more in the evening? I think that's a great comment, and I really appreciate that feedback. I will make sure to share that with the different department heads and with different offices that provide workshops as well, and make sure that we are diversifying. We're offering workshops at different times of the day. There are workshops that are offered in the morning and at night, and most of them are recorded as well so that they could be posted at a different time so that someone could connect with them. But I'll definitely make sure to share that feedback and make sure that workshops are offered at different days. In fact, our local control and accountability plan engagement forums, we make sure to offer them on Saturdays as well. So in both March and April, the Lcap engagement forums will be offered on Saturday during the morning to try to address any access and ability to provide as many opportunities for stakeholders to participate and provide feedback as possible. The next question is, are counselors and mental health clinicians, are counselors and mental health clinicians reaching out to individual students if there's a concern? Yes, in the sense that if a concern is presented by a staff member where a student either shows some signs of needing for some extra support, or a family member has reached out to staff, they provide individual and group and family support. If a student is in need of ongoing counseling support or mental health clinician support, then the mental health clinician and counselor first then reaches out to the family, make sure to have permission to create an ongoing collaborative support and outreach for that student. How will the 2-week mental and emotional program work upon return to normal in-person learning? Will each student be seen on a one-to-one basis, or will it be a request basis? Great question. So for the social emotional learning 2-week program, it will be a whole class learning together. So it'll be almost like a classroom community meeting. It'll be led by both the teacher and the counselor support. It'll be provided to the whole class. And then upon that 2-week process, if students do show or share that they would like individualized conversations or more support in the area of social emotional learning or needs of having conversations, there is always the opportunity for that student to meet with the counselor and then through a process meet with the mental health clinician. But again, the staff members will be reaching out to the families in those situations and having conversations about those services and working in partnership to address those needs of the student. Great question. What mental health resources are you providing for LGBTQ plus students specifically? Excellent question. For mental health resources specifically for students who are part of the LGBTQ plus community, again, there are both counseling and mental health clinicians who have conversations with those students, basically to listen and address and support any needs in those students' areas to make sure that their school learning environment that they're experiencing is one that they are feeling valued, heard, and included in. And then also making sure to connect them with, if you're in the high school level, there's different clubs and student organizations, and making sure that you continue to be part of the community and having access to all of those areas that you would like to be involved with. And again, this is a question I will take back and find out more information about, and find out ways that we can both increase and improve the ways in which we are supporting those students. We also have the Peer Leaders Uniting Students, the PLUS program, which also directly supports opportunities for all students, but also different layers of conversations in support of the needs that LGBTQ plus students may have specifically. But great question, appreciate that, and I will look further. Oh, there's one more question and I'll move on. Special education has parent meeting workshops that'd be really helpful to parents. They're on a PDF link in the special education section of the Stockton Unified School District website. Is there any way to have a Spanish version that is only in English and neglects our Spanish speaking stakeholders? Really appreciate that question, that request. We will also, I will personally take that down again with all of the other feedback that we received. And there's definitely a way to ensure that that information is provided in Spanish as well and is translated and then posted for access for all Spanish speaking families, students and community members to have access to. So I will follow up with that request and make sure that is taken care of as well. Thank you for that question. So another part that's so important is making sure that students have access to nutrition throughout this whole process of distance learning. Before, in 2019, meals were provided 3 times a week to any family members that would come up and request for as many students' lunches as they needed. Moving forward, due to the increase of COVID-19 positive rates in the governor's order of the need to be extra supportive in the health area, starting in 2020 in January, we as a district provide meals for students on Wednesdays of every week. There are meals provided a whole week worth of breakfast and lunch for each student whose family comes up. So you have 3 students, you get 7 days worth of breakfast and lunch for that student. We have 28 sites that currently provide those meals, distribute them. The meal distribution occurs every Wednesday from 10:30 to 12:30. And then on our comprehensive high school sites, so Cesar Chavez, Stagg High School, Franklin, and Edison, they provide distribution twice a day at 6:45 to 7:30 in the morning, and also at 10:30 to 12:30 on Wednesdays. Please also note that if for some reason you are not able to arrive and get those meals on that Wednesday, you can call up any of our comprehensive high schools, and they have extra meals on hand to provide families that for one reason or another were not able to come on Wednesdays. And then if you have, for any reason, a problem with either reaching someone at a comprehensive high school or gaining access to food for your child, please call the district office and we will take your message, call you back, and do what we can to make sure that you're provided with the food that you need. Some additional actions and services that we have to make sure that we're really addressing the needs of students is we have child daycare camps happening. So those are for all staff members and members of students who are foster youth or families in transition, unsheltered youth, homeless youth, to make sure that they have a place that they can learn during these times of the pandemic, and to help support staff members who are providing instruction or doing their daily work and need somewhere for their children to continue to access learning. Making sure that our staff for child nutrition, health, and safety, they have the supplies that they need because they're having to go outside and provide the lunches and change their daily work routines that would have been in person, been in a cafeteria, but it's now happening outdoors. So making sure that they have the safety protocols and access to resources that they need. We have mental health clinicians to provide mental health support across the district to students' families. Counselors to provide counseling support, academic guidance, social emotional well-being support, and career guidance as well at all school sites to support students. We have trainings and resources and supports to increase our ability as a district and educational system to provide trauma-informed care and restorative practices to really address the diverse and various needs of our students and to increase our ability as lifelong learners to adapt to the needs of our students. To sustain family engagement staffing support for both foster youth and families in transition and really address the various diverse needs of these student groups. Child welfare and attendance department and a proactive truancy outreach to make sure we're supporting students and giving families and students what they need so that they're attending school every day. Making sure that we have inclusion specialists that are supporting students with disabilities during this distance learning time and in-person instruction. We have college and career readiness resources and supports for students. The counseling department is doing a great job currently of really a strong plan and outreach program of ensuring that all students that are ready to go to college next year are filling out all of the forms needed with their FAFSA and their scholarship process and their college application process to have that support that they need. Yeah, we have behavior intervention services and staff supporting and addressing equity and really increasing equity and access and understanding across our district. Family engagement and making sure that we really continue to provide English as a second language courses to adults. Increasing student engagement through providing clubs, events, direct supports, virtual field trips, and also having student engagement incentives to make sure that we're providing different types of goal setting with rewards and awards for students to really support student access to being excited about coming to school every day. And then we have newsletters with information in various languages provided to all families called the Grade Schools, that is grade by grade, standard based, and it's distance learning support family newsletter. And then also having wellness centers and health service district so that both during these pandemic times and after these pandemic times, we continue to have the health service provided to all students and families in need. And then again, just increased outreach and support training for foster youth students so that we're really addressing their specific needs and providing them and the staff with the resources and training needed to make sure that foster youth students have the access and support needed to be successful and feel included in all of their academic experiences. So I will pause here and see if there's any questions. This slide right here covers what we're doing specifically, some of the overview things for foster youth students, English learners, and low-income students. Some questions are, how are student non-academic activities, clubs, et cetera, being transferred into virtual spaces? Some ways is that they're happening just like this through Zoom or Google Meetup or Microsoft Teams or Google Classroom. There's different ways that clubs are meeting. Different clubs are providing sort of at-home kits so that they can do things from a distance, but still be involved in opportunities. Some forums are being provided in person, but outside. So there are different types of music with students that are happening after school, but they're occurring outside. There's different cohorts of sports conditioning that are happening outside with nurses that are there and coaches and staff members that are supporting, making sure that there's healthy environments for those students to engage in those club-like activities. How are you leveraging partnerships and working with local nonprofits and organizations to provide services to students? Great question. There's lots of different outreach happening from different platforms where nonprofits are having conversations with their interim superintendent, Brian Biederman, with our Ed Services Department and Student Support Services Department, and talking about the different needs that we have and connecting with what are the services that can be provided, and really looking at currently what are we able to do inside the district in our capacity, and those things that we don't have the capacity to do, then looking for partnerships outside with different nonprofit organizations to see how we can work in partnership and in collaboration to address the needs of students and families. Will SUSD host another talent event or similar event? Great question. Yes, we are planning on one in the spring. We do not have a date yet, but we definitely would like, again, to provide a platform and an outlet to celebrate and showcase the talents of our students, and through feedback, our staff members as well, because many adults and staff members shared that they would like the opportunity to share their talents and skills as well. So we are planning on one and strategically have not found a date yet, but we'll be offering one in the springtime. And so we have lots of different levels of supports that are being provided for foster youth, making sure they have increased access to resources and everything they need instructionally for school, college and career workshops, everything aligned with filling out paperwork for college and scholarships, social service and social emotional support, truancy intervention, English learners, really making sure that we have bilingual assistants, interpreters, translators, professional development for staff members, after-school tutoring, Rosetta Stone, and after-school extra intervention support as well, and that the different forms of parent, guardian, family meetings, whether that be community meeting or a teacher meeting or a school site meeting, that translation interpretation services are provided. For low-income students, making sure that the students have access to counselors, mental health condition support, student leadership, student government, participation opportunities, and increased access to music and arts experiences, as well as after-school enrichment experiences, after-school tutoring, academic intervention support, and then also making sure they have access to technology as well. So we continue as a system to see that we have the need to support. So this is sort of what the overview of the California School Dashboard looks like. That third part of local control funding formula fund, the accountability part of the local control and accountability plan. You really want to be in the green or blue. Yellow means that you're continuing to show growth. Orange means that you're in an area that is having growth but needs to continue to develop at a greater level. And red is showing that you have very intensive needs in that area. So our 2018 data, you can see that we have a lot of areas where we are showing growth and moving in a direction of improving in those areas, and a lot of areas where we are intensive and strategic with needing to address and really mindfully and intentionally meet the needs of students. As you can see, the next year, 2019, we have shown a lot of improvement. Still lots of areas for growth, but in the areas of chronic absenteeism and suspension rate, we see that we continue to improve in those areas with identifying certain student groups where we need to continue to really provide increased support and interventions and strategic resources to increase their access to school, coming to school every day. Our graduation rate and our college career readiness rates are ones that constantly as a district we see we need lots of areas to improve and strategically plan around to address the needs of our students. And then the areas of English language arts and math, which represents our 3rd through 8th and 11th grade students, because this is standardized testing from the state level. We see that we continue to improve, and we continue to have lots of areas to continue with our instructional practices to be providing high quality first instruction to all students, and then seeing strategic ways to address the intervention and extra support of academic learning needs that students have. And that's why we've adopted new curriculum in the areas of English language arts and math, brought in different types of consultants to support the process of implementation of the curriculum, and continue to provide implementation of professional development and professional learning for staff. So this brings us to the idea of within our LCAP, or Local Control and Accountability Plan. Our goal one is that we want to increase student achievement by providing high quality first instruction, supported by a multi-tiered system of supports to graduate every single student college, career, and community ready. So this area is really looking at pupil achievement and making sure students have access to the courses that they need to be college, career, and community ready, to have a well-rounded educational experience. So some examples of what we fund as a district with our LCAP, our local control funding formula funds, is making sure all students have access to technology, that students and staff have bilingual aid support provided for English learners, instructional coaches to help increase the high quality first instruction, to help provide collaborative learning environments, to provide a system of adult learning that's supportive, after school tutoring and enrichment, making sure that schools have direct funding budgets where they have the freedom to decide how those funds are used, with feedback from their students, their families, parents, and guardians, and their staff. Making sure we're supporting teachers, especially new teachers to the profession, ongoing professional development, career technical education pathway resources, college and career readiness, many different areas to make sure that we have events, resources, and opportunities for students to increase their academic achievement. What I would really appreciate if you could take this moment in the chat, because we are keeping all the chat, all the questions and answers as information, feedback, direct input on how we need to develop as a district our plan to address student needs. Any ideas that you have that you would like to see focused on student academic achievement, things you'd like to see increased, improved. What is it that you like, this is working? Anything in the chat that you could put in that directly would be your feedback of how as a district we can increase and improve the ways that student achievement is supported. And while you're doing that, I'll look at the question and answer to see if there's any questions to answer at this time. And again, thank you very much for in the chat putting any of the ideas you have of what you'd like to see increased or improved for student academic achievement. So that goal one focuses on student academic achievement. Goal two of the LCAP, the Local Control and Accountability Plan, really focuses on equitable learning environments. As a district, we provide equitable and healthy learning environments that enhance, that really improve, that help develop the social, emotional, and academic learning for all students. Again, utilizing a multi-tiered system of support. So many different ways of approaching and addressing the needs of students. Make sure they have universal access to a learning environment that meets their needs, and then continuing with different layers of support. And the state priorities that goal two focuses on is basic conditions, making sure all students have access to the learning resources and the facilities that they need to learn in a healthy and safe way. Priority two, that state standards, all students have access to state standards. And English learners have the support that they needed to continue to develop and reach proficiency and beyond of using and understand the English language, both for reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And then the school climate, really engaging students and having them excited about attending school. Some of the examples of what the local control funding formula funds are used for, and the LCAP directly funds, is making sure that all transitional kindergarten, excuse me, through 8th grade school sites are supported by assistant principals. That across the district, we have social service case managers to support specific student needs. Resources supporting foster youth and families and transition students. Making sure that all students have access to all-day kindergarten. School counselors supporting the mental health, the academic, the social emotional, career guidance, and social emotional learning support at all school sites. Mental health clinicians, making sure that the extra layer of mental health needs, that sort of more intensive mental health resources and treatments are provided to students and families when identified that level of or layer of need it presents itself. Behavior intervention teams to really make sure that interventions are being put in place to support students to have positive behaviors and to have the adaptive environments to meet their learning needs that students have within classrooms. Restorative practices, trauma-informed care, and really workshops, trainings, professional developments, making sure translators and interpreters and wellness centers. So again, in the chat, please put any ideas, input, feedback that you have of what are things, resources, programs, services that you would like to see increased or improved to address the equitable learning environment needs, the social emotional learning needs, the school climate needs, the school culture needs, the access to learning needs. Anything that you would say, here is feedback that or input that I have for the district, or these are needs that students have, or families have, staff has, or community members have identified as would benefit students. And again, I really appreciate your participation and really appreciate your time and thoughts. I'll take a moment and check the question and answer box. It says, hi, Dr. Sloan. I think a funded school garden at every site in SUSD would help to accomplish all of the needs in Goal 2 and other goals. Thank you very much for that comment. I myself am a huge advocate for school gardens. In fact, when I got my doctorate, my dissertation, that was the focus, the impact of school gardens on student learning and the process of the teaching that's provided through access to school gardens. So I think school gardens are so important, have great opportunities. Any content can be learned in a school garden. And I appreciate that feedback very much. And I would definitely suggest, if you're at a school and you would like a school garden, participating in school site councils, English learner advisory committees, and then sharing your thoughts at forums like this are great ways to have that voice heard on the importance and value of school gardens. And I really appreciate that. Another question is, if a student is not doing good in class, if the teacher could email the parents to let them know. I asked my son, he says he's doing good, but then I get the report and he isn't doing good. I would like the teachers to try to get a hold of the parents, because sometimes parents are just so busy. Maybe the teachers can try hard to get a hold of the parents before the grades are going down. Really appreciate that comment. We definitely are working as a system of making sure that constant cycles of data analysis and looking at student data is happening, both at a school site level and at a central district level as well, and that ongoing communication is happening. And that if for one reason or another, because teachers are working hard, teachers are doing what they can to reach out to families, if for some reason families are not getting communication that they need, or for some reason teachers are having a hard time communicating with families, we have community assists and parent liaisons and the family engagement and education office and different layers of support at the school sites as well, to really try to support building that partnership and developing that collaboration between teachers and parents, guardians, and family members. So I will definitely share that feedback, and we will continue to work on improving our ability to connect with families and making sure that both students and parents, guardians, and family members know how the students are doing and the levels at which they're learning, and suggestive strategies on how to support students in those areas as well. Thank you again for your feedback and your thoughts. They're greatly appreciated. And the third goal, there are 3 goals that we have for our local control and accountability plan, is really building meaningful partnerships. As a district, we create a culture of inclusion. Everybody is included, everybody is involved, and all voices are valued. And collaboration, the ability to build partnerships and work together with families and community stakeholders that builds meaningful partnerships, really focused on increasing student engagement and family and community participation in support of developing leadership at all levels, and really focusing on the level of supporting students. So really the idea of parent, guardian, and family involvement and engagement and student engagement, and providing ongoing opportunities. Some of the things and areas in the local control accountability plan are we provide and fund family workshops and training, student clubs and leadership activities, and when it is safe and accessible, field trips or bringing in speakers to the campuses, parent liaisons, community assists, the Peer Leaders Uniting Students Plus program, truancy outreach, student attendance and incentives, arts and music programs, athletics programs, translators and interpreters, the Native American Center, and really just focusing on the ways in which we make sure that all students have access to transportation as well. So public bus passes for those students for one reason or another live beyond what school transportation is offered or provided currently. So again, for this goal, I'd appreciate putting in the chat, excuse me, any thoughts, feedback, or input you have on what is a district you would say is a need to improve or increase the offerings and access for building meaningful partnerships, for growing student leadership, for participation and engagement with families, guardians, and parents. What would you like to see offered? What is currently being offered that you really appreciate and would like to make sure it continues, is sustained, or even increased, or suggestions on how it could be improved? And again, we really appreciate all of your feedback and your thoughts. I will check real quick to see if there are any questions to respond to. Oh, I see one here. It says the idea of some of the high school band uniforms are outdated and could definitely use a facelift and an improvement and some new access to uniforms, especially at, so at school performances and events where they're representing the district and just representing themselves as amazing artists, musicians, and young scholars, that having access to funds to improve those uniforms would be welcomed. Appreciate that feedback greatly, and we'll definitely add that to the asks and the needs involved with the development of the local control and accountability plan. So I'll check the questions and answer one more time before I move on. There's a question here. Many of our K through 6, kindergarten through 6th grade students would benefit from having a VAPA, visual and performing arts teachers, not just the 7th through 8th grade students. Thank you. I think that the need for musical and art experiences for all students, and especially the K through 6 students, is very much needed. The idea of, and the reason why mostly middle school and high school are the ones that have access to content specific teachers when it comes to the arts and music, because that is the realm of education where it's a single subject experience, where kindergarten through 6th grade, and within this district as well, kindergarten through 8th grade, many of the teachers, if not all of them actually, are multiple subject teachers. So they have that ability to provide music and art experiences, but the access for that extra layer of support for someone who that is their area of specialty, providing those experiences for students will definitely be noted and shared as part of the development of the LCAP process and feedback. And definitely looking for ways to increase those experiences for music and arts for elementary age students. Let's see before I move on. Okay, I think that's on. And so again, this is sort of just an overview of many of the things that we've discussed as far as what's currently or what has historically been funded by local control funding formula funds within our local control and accountability plan. And we're constantly just looking at what are the suggestions in collaboration of development of this plan are the real needs to address increasing academic achievement, of making sure that we are developing, sustaining, and growing equitable learning environments for all students and staff. And the ways that we're building college and career community readiness for all students by building meaningful partnerships and providing leadership opportunities. Again, I just wanted to review that. What drives this whole process when we're talking about needs, specific to the local control funding formula funds, are the 8 state learning priority areas. And they're broken down into areas of conditions for learning, student outcomes, and engagement. And what we're doing with this plan is really focusing on meeting the needs of all students while principally addressing in an effective way the growth and development needs, specifically of our foster youth, our families in transition, our English learners, our low-income students, and our students with exceptional needs, or special education students, to make sure that we have strategic extra layers of support and services that are being increased and improved so that they have equitable access to learning and developing their social emotional well-being, while also making sure addressing the needs of all students in an equitable way as well. Again, we will have, and I really appreciate your participation in tonight's Local Control and Accountability Plan Engagement Forum. I wish we could be in person, as I know all educators and families appreciate the ability for students to learn in class at their schools, and that for engagement and collaboration to be an in-person process. So I even more am grateful for you taking the time out of your days and night and participating in this engagement forum. We will have another one on February 16th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. We will be sharing that link with you as well. And then on March 6th and April 17th, those are both Saturdays from 10 to 11:30 in the morning. And then May 13th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Again, these will all be virtual unless we're able to meet in person, and then I will fully take advantage of that opportunity and make sure that we are engaging in person. Also, if you have not already, and if you have, thank you so much. We appreciate your feedback, your input greatly. Please take the Lcap survey. It is in both English and Spanish. It's been open since October 26th. It closes February 5th. You can find the link at our district website, as well as on all school websites as well. And there are also paper forms, surveys for the families, parents, and guardians. And if you'd like that, you can call your school front office, and they'll be provided for you there if you need a paper one for one reason or another. You're not able to do it online. And the survey can be taken on a phone or a computer or any device. So I will stop now and answer any questions that anyone has. And then we will close by doing the raffle. And thank you again, everyone, for your participation. It is greatly appreciated. And before I take the questions and answers, I just want to make sure also to thank you. This was made possible by Carmen, who has been doing a wonderful job, and is super appreciate her services in providing interpretation, simultaneous translation for Spanish. And then Veronica and Dr. Spessard, who have been helping to both answer questions in the chat and navigate the process of this online platform as well. So I'm grateful for the collaboration and partnership. So there's a question. Do you think teachers, administrators will have the opportunity to be trained in cultural relevant teaching practices through Lcap funding? I also want to thank you for this presentation. It was so clear and transparent. Our community appreciates you and all the work that you do for our students. Thank you, Dr. Sloan. Well, thank you very much for that feedback. I'm very humbled, and I'm fully dedicated to students fully in support of all staff, and fully advocating in partnership of all families, guardians, and parent members, and working in collaboration with community members. So I appreciate that feedback very well. Yes, there is currently funding for this year to address the culturally and linguistically relevant teaching and learning practices for teachers. Right now, they are focusing on administrators, excuse me, and I believe beginning to support instructional coaches as well to start with the process of like a strong understanding of what cultural relevant and linguistically relevant teaching and learning practices are and what those resources look like. And then there will be a process of making sure that teachers have access to that training as well and learning opportunities. And I will make sure that that is also added as a need through Lcap funding in the discussions of the development. So thank you very much for that. The next question is, the workshop Mindful Monday is offered at 1 p.m. Can you have it in the evening too? I would really appreciate it if it can be offered in the evenings. Well, I really appreciate that. I will make sure to share that need and that ask with the mental health and behavioral intervention office and with the student support services team and see what we can do to provide various times at which the Mindful Mondays are offered. And I think they are really a great opportunity for families and staff and students and whoever would like to connect with them and offer great resources. So I will make sure to have that conversation and share that ask and see what we can do to provide that at different times as well. So thank you for that. Okay, the next one, there is a PECS training for employees and parents coming up. That is an amazing opportunity. It is full, but are there going to be more opportunities like this? It's so valuable, especially since communication is such a basic need. The fact that it was open to parents is a great step forward. So definitely, I believe they're working on addressing the ways in which we can offer more of these opportunities for parents to have interpersonal communication and build up skills of connecting, communicating, and building up the ability to be very supportive, active members within the learning community and in advocating for young scholars. So I will again share that with the Family Engagement and Education Office and the Student Support Services and different departments as well, and see what the follow-up is of offering more of those opportunities. So thank you very much for that request and need as well. Really appreciate that. So Veronica, I think this will bring us to the time to do our raffle. And see how we'll be able to do this in a virtual sense. Digital Health Connectivity Project has donated through the Community Foundation of San Joaquin these Amazon Fire tablets. I have 3 of them, and so we will be to raffle tonight. And again, I really appreciate your participation. And Veronica, did you want to connect
Hi,
with us?
I'm sorry, I am here.
Yep.
One second.
Yeah, no problem. And again, thank you, Carmen and Veronica and Dr. Spessy for your support. It's so appreciated. And thank you everyone for your participation, for your feedback, your input. And for taking time out of your night and your busy family schedule or just your Thursdays. It's greatly appreciated. And I look forward to following through with all your feedback and your needs and making sure that your voices are heard. While I'm holding this, I see there's some more questions. So let's see here. Is there any more questions? Nope. Answered those. Okay. And again, thank you for putting your thoughts both in the question and answer and the chat and sharing those. It's greatly appreciated. Okay.
All right. Do you want me to share my screen as I choose the number?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Definitely.
One moment. And this is for everyone who registered to participate in today's event. So I'm just gonna, there were 60 registrants, so I'm just gonna generate a random number. Number 49, I'll go to my Excel. And number 49 is Patricia Ledesma Flores. So Patricia
right.
is our winner.
Well, thank you very much. So I'll be reaching out to you and letting you know that you won this tablet, and I will communicate with you how I will make sure you are provided with this. So we will have 2 more winners. That's our first.
Oh, sorry about that. Let me share
That's
my
no worries.
screen.
Thanks for putting this together.
Oh,
The
you're welcome.
virtual wheel.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Generate another number. And number 33 is Naheem Akhtar.
All right. Well, great. Thank you, Naheem. I'll make sure to reach out to you and connect with you on how I will get this tablet to you.
And
And our final winner.
number 37. And that is Francesca Vargas.
All right. Thank you, Francesca. Again, I will reach out to all 3 of you and make sure that I connect with you. And thank you again very much for your participation tonight. Before we leave, I will check the question and answer and see if there are any questions to respond to that I have not yet covered. Oh, thank you very much for all the information. I appreciate it. It is my pleasure and my honor to really advocate for the needs of students and families and staff and support of them, and find ways to increase the engagement and participation of everyone in the development of the local control and accountability plan. So thank you very much, everyone, for your participation, your time, your dedication, and your partnership. Stay healthy, be well, and have a great night. Take care.